Hey y'all, this is Jay. This is the first episode in something that's brand new that I'm going to be doing. I'm calling it Behind the Mask. These episodes will be very raw and very painful. For most of this podcast, I talk from a place of healing, right? And Behind the Mask is going to be more from a place of pain. I'm going to revisit the broken places. These are the very same places in my life that I healed from. But Behind the Mask is going to take y'all back. We're going to revisit those. And these episodes are exactly what the title says. We're going to go behind the mask. These episodes will not be easy. They will be very difficult for me. As I'm doing this new series after the break, right? Repairing your marriage after infidelity. As I'm thinking through these episodes and what I want to share, and it hit me that I want y'all to see the realness of these episodes. I talk a lot about what I went through, talk about a lot of the suffering and the pain. But like I said, this podcast comes from a place of healing, and that's the purpose. And I did share my story, but the purpose behind this podcast is to go from brokenness to healing. But behind the mask, with these episodes, I want to sit in the brokenness for a bit. The reason why it's going to be a struggle for me is because I'm going to have to go back. And I'm going to have to step back into the mess and the pain and the regret and the shame and all of the things, all of the brokenness. And I want to just talk to you candidly and openly and vulnerably, transparently, honestly about what it was like. And y'all, these episodes, these Behind the Mask episodes are not going to be published or posted for everyone, unfortunately. I want to reserve these episodes for the podcast supporters or the Unfiltered coaching supporters. I have a sort of an announcement that I'm going to make. I don't know if it'll be on this episode, but the announcement will be made to everybody. But this first episode in the Behind the Mask series, this first one's going to be for everybody. Just because I want to put it out there, I want to let everybody know that this is what we're doing. But to go behind the mask of my life and my experiences and my story, it's very, very personal. It's very painful. And I want to reserve that for the special group of people who become supporters of the podcast. So I'm saying all that not as a sales pitch. Forgive me if it sounds like that. I'm not trying to sound like that, but I want to let people in behind the mask, but it's not for everybody, and it can't be for everybody. So if y'all are considering becoming a supporter, this is one of the things that will be a part of that. But let's move on. So I want to talk about what we're going to do with these Behind the Mask is we're going to go through. We're going to start with this new series after the break, and I'm going to go through every episode. So when I record an episode for a general episode, I'm going to do a Behind the Mask episode pertaining to that. So I'm going to take y'all back for a second. And this is back to 2016. And this episode is not intended to share the gory details. It's not about sensationalizing this. But I just want to take you back to that time. And, everything that was involved. And I'm going to go through the episode I just published of After the Break. And we're going to some of the things that I said on that episode, we're going to go through, and I want to talk about things, how they pertain to me when I was in this situation. But first, I want to say I never thought that I would be that person. I never thought that I would do what I did. And unpacking that might be for another time. But there was a moment when the affair was exposed. There was a moment, or at that moment, in that moment, it all hit me. It all hit me all at once. Like I'm the person that I never wanted to be. I never thought I would be in it. And I know, and you're saying, yeah, but you were doing this stuff, and it's such a broken and way to live or way to think. But I can tell you that in that moment, it hit me. And I realized who I was. And I know that's not an excuse. It's not a cop-out. And it might be hard to explain. But I realized who I was, and I was that person that I never thought I'd be. And it felt disgusting. I felt disgusting. And all at once, all the regret, all the shame, all the guilt, once it hit me, once I realized, once I acknowledged who I was and what I did, that the weight of that was so heavy. It was so heavy. And it wasn't just the weight of my action. It was the people involved that I hurt. And it was heavy. So on the episode that I published after the break, I said a few things, and I started by saying, before there's healing, there has to be truth. One of the most difficult things, one of the hardest things, one of the scariest things, one of the most painful things was to answer questions. Right? And my ex-wife, she had to be allowed to ask any question that she wanted. And the scariest thing was to say, I'm not hiding anymore. But without being truthful, without the truth, and sometimes that involves, or sometimes that looks like confession, sometimes that looks like answering questions, but without the truth, healing could never have taken place. Whether it would be in the marriage or in my own life, healing never could have taken place. And there was a point where I didn't want to. There was a point where my ex-wife was asking questions. She wanted clarification. She wanted these things. And I didn't want to go back to those places. I didn't want to. It wasn't like a fun thing for me to go back and revisit all those dark places of my life. But at some point, I had to get to the place where she needed that. If she needed that, I had to be willing to give her the answers that she needed. And I had to allow her to ask any question that she wanted to ask. And I had to give truthful answers. And that was scary. Not because I didn't want her to know, because at that point, everything was out, everything was exposed, and now it was just answers to details and things that were needed for her healing and our healing. And so it wasn't like I was trying to keep hiding things, but it was painful. And the realization of who I was, I hated it, but I had to go back. I felt so terrible. There were moments where that feeling of regret was so heavy that I didn't know if I would make it. I didn't know if I could take it. And I felt so sorry. And I felt so bad. And I wanted to make it work. I wanted to fix whatever needed to be fixed. I witnessed what it did to my ex. And yes, it made me feel like a monster. I obviously didn't fully understand then because it was in the midst of it. I understand now looking back. But when trust is broken in this way, it doesn't repair easily, and it doesn't repair in a hurry. And I don't know that I was fully aware of it while I was in the midst of it back then. I do now. But the road was going to be long, and it was going to be painful, and it was going to be bumpy. And I felt so much regret. And I wish that I would have understood that truth, the value or the I don't know the word, about the meaningfulness or whatever, that of truth, the part that truth plays in healing. It was such a dark place, and I felt so disgusting and so bad. I felt like I wasn't worth it. I felt like I couldn't, on one hand, I felt like I couldn't actually feel things because I didn't have a right to. Because, like, look what I did. Look what I did to her. So I didn't really have anything to say. I mean, like, I couldn't. I didn't have the right to say anything. That's how I felt on one hand. On the other hand, I wanted to tell my ex what I realized. I so badly wanted her to know that I want to make it right. I want to be different. I want to work through it. I want to love her the way she wants to be loved. I want to be that man. I wanted her so badly to know that, and I didn't know how to be that. And at the same time, I'm feeling like I don't have the right to say any of this stuff because all I have to do is let her get whatever she needs for her healing, even if that means attacking me. Which I'm not saying it felt like that sometimes. I'm not saying that was the intention. But whatever she needed for healing, questions answered, accusations thrown, like mandatory this and that, and things that she needed, and I didn't know how to express everything that I wanted her to know because I felt like I didn't have a right because of what I did, and that's not right. That's not right. That's wrong. That's broken. I'm not saying that's how it was supposed to be. But I just felt so terrible and so bad. And I now was staring straight in the face all of my brokenness for all of those years of my life prior to 2016. And obviously this was a process. So don't think that everything I'm saying right here happened. The affair was exposed and then all of this stuff happened on that next day. It was a process. Obviously, if you listen to my podcast, it's like a 9-year healing journey, but these are the moments after after that was exposed. There was a whole like realm of emotions that happened. But and if I back up a little bit, it was like I questioned my faith in God. I questioned my if I wanted to be married. I questioned what the kind of person I wanted to be and all this kind of stuff. But at the point when we decided, hey, we're going to try to fix this. We're going to stay married. Even if that was the most basic decision we made, like we're just going to stay married. It was from those moments on that I think that's the realization. That's when the realization happened. And my heart was ripped to pieces. Not because of the things that happened, but because not like the effects of my decisions. Although, yeah, sure, that was part of it. But what I'm talking about is how I felt when I realized the kind of man I was, the kind of person I was. That was hard for me to take. And I realize now. I realize now, and I didn't know how to communicate this back then. I wish I had somebody that was doing for me these things, because I wish I was able to communicate with my ex that she wasn't crazy, that she wasn't too much, that it wasn't her fault, and that I hurt her and I broke her, and what happened to her, what I did to her was a trauma on every level, and that it's okay for her to go through all of the things. On the episode, the first episode of After the Break, I mentioned grief and rage and numbness and confusion and fear and shame, and I wish that I wish I would have allowed her to understand that that's okay. I wish I would have been able to walk with her through that. I wish that I was a safe place for her. I wasn't a safe place. I wish that we didn't have to pretend to be okay. I wish both of us could have just felt it all. Our relationship was broken leading up to this. But looking back, I just wish, and especially once I realized all this stuff, that's when all of this started. I wish I could have went back and redid things the right way. I didn't have a pause method, right? I didn't have a framework to go by. I didn't know what to, I was in this dark, broken place. I was trying to survive because I didn't want to lose my marriage. I didn't want to lose my marriage. I didn't realize the weight of my decisions. I didn't realize the effects of my decisions and my choices. I'm not stupid. If I'm not saying I don't understand what happens when you do those things, but I tried to live in both lives. I tried to live in both sides of the life, right? That double life. And when all these realizations started coming, I realized I don't want to lose my marriage. I don't want to lose my family. The pain that I felt, and the guilt and the shame of what I did to my family. Y'all, I I told my kids what happened. And that was the hardest thing that I've done. To have them look at me and me to look at them and tell them how I destroyed our family. My kids would not be going through what they're going through right now if it weren't for me. And I don't know if I can explain to you the crushing weight of that. And I didn't realize that when I was doing all the stupid stuff I was doing. I didn't consider that until it was too late. I'm not comparing myself to Moses, obviously. But every time I go back to these events, every time I go back to this time of my life, this place in my life, I think of Moses and how he was promised to enter the promised land. God told him, you will enter the promised land. And then by his choices, by the choice he made, he was not able to enter the promised land. And it was too late, because at that moment he had realized what he had done. And I guarantee you he felt regret and shame and guilt, and he was sorry, and he wanted to take it back, and he wanted to be able to have the thing that was promised to him, and he couldn't because it was too late. And he could see it. And he knew the people that were going to enter in without him. And I didn't want to lose my marriage. I didn't want to lose my family. And it was too late for me to realize these things. And I didn't have all these tools. I didn't have all this framework. That people that were trying to speak into this, most of them, if I'm being really honest, the people speaking into my ex's life were anti-husband, pro-divorce. And this is my perspective. So hear me when I say this. I'm not speaking for my ex. I'm speaking for me. And the counsel that was going on that side was encouraging the break in the marriage. And it was anti-restoration. The counsel that I was getting was not that. It was for the restoration of the marriage. However, it was very much surface level. And partly that was me. Partly that was me, obviously, because it was so broken and it was so dark and I didn't trust people and I didn't know who I wanted to let in. And I wish I would have let someone in. I wish I would have broke down. I wish I would have been honest and vulnerable and transparent with somebody. And so because of that, the counsel I was getting was surface and it was information. And it was good information. It was good. I didn't know how to do it, though. I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't have a counselor through the whole thing. And it was sporadic. It wasn't consistent. But I realized I didn't understand what I did, what it cost my ex. I didn't understand what it cost them. And I didn't understand what it cost my family. You know what? Because you think, you get caught doing something or you have an affair and it gets exposed or something. And, I caused her pain. I caused her hurt. That's not the cost. It obviously hurts. Of course it does. It hurts. And it's painful and it's immediate. But that's not the cost. That's not what it cost her. My decision, my choice cost her her heart, cost her her trust, cost her her love, cost her feeling a certain way, cost her identity. Not that her identity was in me in the marriage, but because of all of this, and she has to guard herself now she has to act counter to who she was created to act like. I cost her her family. I cost her her life. And what did I cost my kids? I cost my kids their hearts. I ripped their hearts out of their chests. And they had no choice. They had no say in this. They weren't given a choice. This was done to them. And I couldn't take it back. Sorry. Hold on. I'll be right back. Sorry, y'all. There are some other questions that I mentioned in the first episode of After the Break. One, I just talked about what I cost them. And we'll talk more about that. But what did I do specifically? So I had to tell them what I did specifically. I couldn't just say I had an affair. That's not it. That's not naming anything. So I had to say what I did specifically. I wish that I would have been vulnerable with my ex. I wish I would have allowed her in. I wish I would have asked her for the things that I was seeking. It was not her fault. It was not her fault. She has zero to blame for any of this. Nothing that she did or nothing that she didn't do led to any of this. And she couldn't have ever done anything more or less or different or better or whatever to cause me to do this. I chose to do this. I chose to do this. And I did this to her. She didn't push me into. You don't get pushed into an affair. That's blaming. You still have a choice. And I chose to do it. But I wish, because I didn't realize then, I wish early on in our marriage, early on in my life, I would have dealt with these things. I would have found out the whys beneath who I am and why I did things and my behaviors and my choices. I wish I'd still be married. I'd still have my family. But I wish I would have allowed the person that I was supposed to love, the person that I was supposed to be spending the rest of my life with, I wouldn't even let her in. I wouldn't even share these things with her. I wish I would have asked her. I was seeking so many things, just fleshly things, material things, worldly things. I was seeking things that were not appropriate. Like, and I'm not talking about sexually inappropriate. I was seeking things like approval. I had to feel like the man. But what made me feel like the man was false. It was false hope. It was a false sense of feeling that. And I wish I would have allowed my ex to be that. I wish I would have been able to share my broken heart with her. And I wish I would have allowed her in. Not that it's her burden, not that it's her story to carry, that she could have satisfied any of those burdens, but you know what? She would have been in it with me. And I guarantee you, it would have been a different path. If I would have just let her in, and I would have asked her, if I would have invited her in, if I would have talked with her, if I would have opened up with her about all of these struggles, even from when I was little. We try to hide. I did. I tried to hide. We do this all the time. I tried to hide all the things that I didn't want her to think badly about me about. So I want her to like me. If I think that what I'm about to share is going to cause her to not like me or to not think I'm cool or to not think I'm handsome or whatever it is, then I'm not going to tell her. How often do you do that? How often do you do that with your spouse? And so I didn't let her in on certain things because I needed her to think that I was like hot, right? I needed her to think that I was strong. I needed her to think that I was the man. I needed her to think that I was the good husband, a good father, all these things. And so if I felt like any of these little things that I wanted to share, because I wanted to, don't get me wrong, I wanted her to be the person that I can go to with, but I was so broken and I took it out on her. I wouldn't let her in. And I just thought that if I shared any of these things, it made me look weak. And then that would change her perspective of me. And she may not like me. She may not love me. She may not be attracted to me anymore. That's bull crap. That's a lie. And if you believe that, I'm telling you right now, it's a lie. There was so much unresolved pain inside of me that I never dealt with. I never asked for help to deal with it. I never let her in to be in it with me. And all of this made contributions to my poor decisions. And I wish that I would have allowed her. I wish that I would have suggested this, said to her, allowed her, however you want to package it. I wish I would have said, what do you need to say? And I won't judge you. Say anything. I wish I would have been the place where she could have felt like she could say anything. I wish that I would have gone against the lie that I was believing, that I didn't have a right to say something to her because of what I did to her. All that did was divide it even greater. It made the break even wider. All I would have done, if I was just brave enough to say, "What do you need to say? I won't judge you." Well, if I would have been freaking brave enough to ask her what lies she's been believing since she found out about the affair. What lies has she started to believe about herself? What is she convincing her about herself? And we could have been in it together. I wish I would have asked her what she was afraid to feel or what healing looked like. I was so concerned. I was so concerned about being sorry, repenting, asking for forgiveness, healing this marriage, working together, working it out, saving the marriage, saving the family. But you know what? All of it is pretending because we never sat in it. We never sat in all of the stuff, the mess. And I tried to move on. I tried to move past it. Oh, how I wish. I wish somebody would have told me to write a letter that I was never going to read to her. I wish that I would have written down. And at some place I did, and I recorded over 100 episodes that I never published, and they're super raw. And so maybe that's my letter to her, but that was more therapeutic for me. And there were things that I said on there out of my emotions, and that's not that's not really what I'm talking about. I wish somebody would have said, write a letter that someday you might read to her. And put and answer that same question. Finish that same sentence that I posed to everybody in the first episode of After the Break. This is what I did and what I'm learning about why. And I wish I would have confessed that I knew what it cost her, what it did to her, how sorry I am, how much I wanted to fight for my marriage and my family. I wish that I would have allowed her to feel the weight of what she felt, and I wish I would have not tried to minimize everything, that we could just get through it, that we could work on it, that we can make it through this, that we could fix it, we could restore. That's not what it was about, because none of it got healed. I wish I would have allowed her to just beat up on me. I wish I could just have told her. I could have. I wish I would have. I wish I would have just told her all the things. But it was so broken. It was so broken. And I'm telling you, the regret and the shame and the guilt. Listen, if you've listened to this podcast, you know my story and you know this part of my story, but it almost cost me my life. I destroyed my family. I did this to my kids. I ripped their life from them, and they had zero choice, zero say. And now they're having to deal with the ripple effects of my decisions and my choices that they would never have had to deal with. I did this to them. And sure, can they forgive me? Have they forgiven me? Yeah. But every day is a constant reminder of the brokenness, the destruction of our family. And y'all, there are days that I can't handle that. And I'm healed. Don't get it twisted. Because I'm taking you, quote unquote, behind the mask, that I'm not healed. I've healed from these things. And it hurts to go back. Not because I haven't dealt with it, because it's crushing me. When I go back, it crushes me. And this isn't the first time that I've gone back. I do this routinely because I don't ever want to be that person again. I realize things now that I never realized. And remembering those things, that's a motivation to never allow this to happen. And I'm not perfect. I get that. But I am saying that I will never be that person again. Ever. And so, yeah, sometimes a little pain is helpful. And so I go back and I remember because I don't ever want to forget. But I'm healed and I can't handle this. It's heavy. I can't, y'all. I know this is probably a lot, and it might even sound like rambling or thinking out loud, and that's okay. I'm trying to take you behind the mask, right? It's a catchy title. But I guess when you're talking from a position of healing and you're talking from from a place of healing, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know if I communicate well enough the brokenness of it. Because without the brokenness, I don't know that being healed means the same. I mean, what do you have to heal from if it's not broken? And so my brokenness is heavy and it's painful and it's suffering. I know that I'm healed and I just want to be real. I just want to be real and I want to be raw. And I'm just giving y'all a glimpse into my heart and what it was like. And as we go through the rest of these episodes, it may feel the same as this one. It may feel different because I know this one's introducing the Behind the Mask episodes. Y'all, I am going to make an announcement of how you can listen to these episodes. At the most, there might be one more that is available to everyone. Maybe there isn't any more of these that are available to everyone. It could be that from here on out, these will just be available to those that become supporters or that follow that do. I'm going to make this announcement, and those that do that, do the things that the announcement's going to say. It'll be for them only. And so, thank you for listening. Thank you for being, on this journey with me. Thank you for allowing me to expose these painful places in my life. Thank you for coming with me into these areas of pain and suffering. Thank you for coming behind the mask with me and allowing me to show you glimpses of my heart during these times. It is not going to get any easier. Not for me. It's only going to get harder. But it's good. It's good. Yo, to end this out, I just want to say that I appreciate y'all so much. I really do. I know that y'all are going through things. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that has gone through things. And I know that y'all are feeling things. And I know that it can be heavy. And I know that it can be painful. And I know that you could be feeling a lot of things. I felt those things. And man, I'm feeling these things again going through this episode. But I know that y'all are going through some things, and I know that it's heavy. And sometimes I wonder if these episodes, the general episodes that I put out, I wonder sometimes if it doesn't go deep enough, if it doesn't really communicate my heart for y'all and my desire for y'all to be healed. But y'all, I want to see you win. I don't want y'all to be broken. I want y'all to be healed. I want your relationships to be healed. I want y'all to heal from these painful places of your life. Y'all, thanks for letting me share. I really appreciate it. Look out for that announcement that'll be coming out soon. Until then, see you then.